What is most effective psychological trick you ever used? Giving a friend's child 10 yo an illusion of choice to get them to do something you want them to do. So instead of saying put your socks on, say do you want these socks or these ones? Or same for dinner. Not eat your dinner. Ask, do you want peas or broccoli? They feel ownership of their choice and some control in their life. Kids in general have very little control over their lives and they need practice to make decisions. Set expectations low and blow people's minds with my mediocrity. Owning up to my mistakes with full, if not excessive, ownership. It tends to disarm the offended. Asking would you be opposed to doing X, instead of would you be willing to do X? Not sure how well it actually works, but one good one is saying thank you instead of sorry. Like thank you for waiting instead of sorry for being late. It draws attention away from the negative. All of these answers will be made into an AI-voiced YouTube video by tomorrow. I used this technique at university where I couldn't stand the thought of having to answer questions in front of a group of people. So if you find yourself in a group situation where someone, a leader, tutor, manager, etc. is asking questions that must be answered and you want to avoid being picked so that you don't have to talk, then here is my tip. If the person locks eyes on you as they ask the question, then just as they are about get to the end of their question you break eye contact and look towards another person in the room, and hold it. Their attention is diverted to that other person just as the question ends and the person they are now looking at feels compelled to answer. If however the person starts asking the question while looking at someone else, then look at that other person and hold it so you can't get suckered. Use it sparingly because if you do it enough on the same person, they will be on to you. When my kids were younger, if I thought they were lying, I would ask them to stick out their tongue. They thought I could tell from the color of their tongue whether they were lying or not. In reality, it was that they would hesitate before sticking out their tongue that told me if they were lying or not. I have harnessed the power of positive reinforcement. Instead of focusing on what is wrong, I make a conscious effort to highlight and praise the positive behaviors or traits of others. When getting a client's background social services and they bring up their kids, ask to see a photo or ask something that triggers a proud parent response. Accelerates the process of building trust. Visualize the prize. Whatever the goal is, I mentally run through the process and visualize the best case scenario outcome. Part of that is considering the worst case scenario, accepting the possibility, and continuing to visualize the best outcome. Are you okay? While undergoing a painful shoulder procedure on that already painful area, I was actively in a mental space of visualizing running through a meadow of wildflowers, full speed on a warm summer day. Yeah, I'm just running through a meadow in my head until this is done. The medtech was really worried that I had passed out on the table and had the doc stop the procedure, which was jarring and painful. Now I warn people. It is like a very effective form of dissociation, I suppose. For good or bad, it works, especially with breathing big. Actually, this one came in my mind to avoid workplace drama, and be well liked is to just compliment people behind their back. Not a trick per se, but realizing that I am not my thoughts. When I used to babysit my niece and nephew, I used to act all excited and tell them that there was officially no bedtime, and that we were going to stay up all night watching TV and playing games. Without fail, they would fall asleep on the couch at their exact bedtime. The Goldilocks effect works wonders. Say you want to convince a person to do a certain task, but you know they are not going to do it unless persuaded. Try this. Offer them a total of 3 tasks, one being your task and the 2 others, slightly more complicated or mundane longer tasks. The trick here is not to be too obvious that the other 2 are duds. Start with dud task 1 and make it the more mundane dull one. Then your task, which sounds slightly better, then task 3 which is more complex and demanding of skill and ability. 9 times out of 10 they pick the task you want them to pick, and if not, you still got them doing something you needed done in the long run. Seeming to agree with someone's irrational complaints about coworkers or management or the workplace without actually agreeing with them. Expressions like I hear ya, seriously? And wow, that's unbelievable. Work really well. Especially if they've already got a reputation as the office crank and are generally disliked by everyone else. Once they think I'm on their side, they are more than happy to do the occasional favor for me like fast-tracking some approval process or whatever. Then, as this person and I have more interaction at work, I slowly start dropping tactically chosen factoids into conversations. These lead them back to a reality where they begin to see that what they complain about all the time isn't quite as bad as they think it is. Basically, I provide them with an illusion that they are coming to these conclusions on their own and not being told to change their opinion. If I do things right, within a few months people start engaging with them again. Within a year, they find they have workplace friends for the first time ever and become a generally more pleasant person to be around. I tell my husband when my teacup is full. This is how I imagine my ability to regulate my emotions and how likely I am to snap at someone. I'll say stuff like, my teacup is almost full, but I'll do my best. When I'm overwhelmed, I can say my cup is full and he immediately understands what I mean and what that means for a while. We use this with our daughter to some success, where she can at least identify when she's getting overwhelmed before it hits the peak. Then we move into how we can best empty our cup in a way that's not overwhelming and doesn't make others feel bad. After all, screaming might empty our cups quickly, but we're just pouring that energy into someone else's cup. The best part is that, because I've used this pretty consistently, I have a better feel for how much emotional bandwidth I have at that moment and can be honest with friends and coworkers. I really want to hear this story, but I don't have much room in my cup. Give me 5 minutes to take a quick break, and when I come back, I'm all ears. It's been great and I feel like my relationships have gotten better. Offering food the dog won't eat to the cat. Dog eats food. Using awkward silences to get what you want. Ask somebody for something. If they give you a reason not to give it to you, say nothing. Stand there and more often than not they'll give in and give it to you.